Hello and welcome to Normal Gossip. I'm your host, Rachel Hampton, and in each episode of this podcast, we're going to bring you an anonymous morsel of gossip from the real world. Now, technically, you are listening to Rachel of Christmas Past, because Rachel of Christmas Present is probably drinking a hot toddy and watching Die Hard for the 5th time this month. We here at the Normal Gossip team cannot say how much we appreciate y'all and the way that you have stood 10 toes down behind all of us this year. So to express our gratitude, we wanted to share this steamy little holiday treat. Every couple of months over on the subscriber feed, I host our Boozy Book Club, where I make some of my colleagues drink wine and discuss esteemed literature, such as Rebecca Yarros' Fourth Wing. We recorded the following episode from a hotel room floor at our annual Defector retreat in August. It is truly one of my favorite memories from this year. And if you absolutely love this episode, which I have a feeling a lot of you will, consider subscribing at the friend or friend of a friend level. We just released our second Boozy Book Club installment where we discussed Ice Planet Barbarians, which is somehow even hornier than Fourth Wing, I know. If you want to give yourself the gift of joy and smut for as little as $5 a month, go to defector.com/normalgossip to subscribe. Merry Christmas, y'all, and a Happy New Year. Hello, friends and friends of friends. I am reporting to you live from our company retreat, and I am joined on the floor of a hotel room sipping some rosé by none other than Kelsey McKinney and Brandy Jensen. Hello.
Hi. So happy to be here.
Hello, Rachel. Hello, Brandy.
I'm so excited for today's episode, which I have corralled all of you into because I decided to read the romantasy novel Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which is very popular. And I think we all have a lot of thoughts about it.
When you said you had read it, I was like, oh, yes, I devoured that in a day last year, have also read the sequel, remember absolutely nothing about what happened in it, because to me, it was what I'm looking for in the romantasy experience, and what it provided is the feeling of having information sort of caress the outside of my brain without ever settling into any of the creases or burdening me with anything that even remotely approaches knowledge. And it was perfect for that. It's just, a sort of light tickle of the exterior of my cerebellum, maybe other places, I don't know. And then it was gone in the morning. It was a perfect one-night stand of a read.
Yeah, I read the book specifically so that we could have this conversation in which I feel like I've served my country to do so. But as I was reading it, I was becoming like more of an apologist for A Court of Thorns and Roses, because I was like, oh, I actually I liked reading those books and I felt like the plot was better. But now that you're speaking, I'm like, is it possible that it's just been so long that I forgot what was in those books entirely?
It is so
I'm
possible.
Like, what a positive experience I had in the past.
You remember only the cerebellum tickling finger of
tickle.
Sarah J. Maas and not any of the other parts of it. I feel like we should establish both our romantasy and Fourth Wing bona fides. So I will start off. Brandy knows this because she heard me say this in a meeting, but my intro to writing was writing self-insert Twilight fan fiction, which is why I am here. This is why I'm the woman I am today. So romantasy is deep in my bones. But I haven't actually, this is the first one of the recent boom of romantasy novels that I've actually read. Like, I never read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I don't even know what the other ones are that all have the kind of same cover where you see these bookshelves on TikTok where all the books kind of look the same. And I'm always like, what is that? I do love Holly Black, who was an old school YA novelist. But this is my first intro into like TikTok romantasy.
So I am a longtime fantasy lover, and then separately from that, a sort of more recent romance reader. And so I got into romantasy as somebody who really enjoys fantasy. And I often find myself in the position of sort of like pushing my glasses up my nose and saying like, I object to an inconsistency I've discovered in the magical system that this world is deploying. I think actually, if you're going to be converting pleasure into the ability to like move objects with your mind, then I don't think that you should be able to. So I like really, I nerd out on that aspect, and it annoys me. But I find romantasy interesting just from somebody who's interested in trends in the publishing market. I think that, so Rebecca Yarros is a great example. She's somebody who had written like very traditional romance books. She wrote military romance. She's like a military wife. And so she wrote, romances where a woman's husband is like deployed and then comes back. I don't know. I haven't read any of them. I assume that's what military romance is.
So you're talking about Fourth Wing.
But then her agent was like, oh, there's a big interest in romantasy. Do you want to, like, can you insert fantasy into like the military romances that you already have been writing? And this is where Fourth Wing comes. It's like a kind of like, she wrote it sort of on spec because the interest for something like that existed before her meeting the need. Yeah. And I find that dynamic fascinating and like a little unsettling.
That also makes a lot of sense to me because I feel like the romance aspects of Fourth Wing are much stronger than the fantasy aspects, and particularly the world building and like the way that magic works feels very weak and strange to me. And so it makes sense to me that she like came from writing military romances because at its core, this book is like kind of a military romance. My relationship with romantasy is I don't really have one. I read all the like rom-coms books, like the Emily Henrys. I read those. My problem is that I don't like fantasy. I don't want to read about a battle. In fact, when I'm reading Fourth Wing, I'm flipping, flip through the battle. That's not my business. Goodbye. I don't care.
I want a sorcerer. I want a mage. I want give me magic spelled MAGICK. Please.
Yes.
I want it. I need it. I love it.
I'm like, tell me who's dead and let me out of here.
He said, give me the list of dead and dying at the end of the battle, and that's all I need.
Yeah, I don't need it.
I feel like we are kind of dancing around the plot of this novel, so I feel like we should get into...
So is the novel.
And you know what? We're going to get into that. But I think this discussion will probably flow from us going through the plot of this novel and, pinpointing the moment at which you started flipping and the moment at which you started flipping and then the moment at which I was like, I'm going to start listening to this in the audiobook form because that is how I finished this novel, was on 1.2x speed on Spotify. This book starts off with our female main character, whose name is now escaping me.
See, it just tickled right over. It's gone.
Does anyone here remember her name?
Violet.
You're right.
Violet Serengale?
Yes. Yeah. Violet Sorengale.
That was close.
Very close. That is one benefit of the audiobook. I learned how to pronounce all these names, which is very helpful, specifically with the female dragon's name, because it's spelled Sgaeyl. And I saw that. Sgaeyl. So this is about a society that has been at war with its neighbors for 400 years. And they're now at the point where every child is conscripted into some sort of service. Either you are an archivist, or you are a dragon rider, or you were just in the infantry.
You're just cannon fodder.
Basically.
Yeah. I think there are also other places you could be, but they're not our business.
Exactly. Yeah. So Violet has been trained from birth to be a scribe. And then her mother, who is the general of the army, evil, decides she's mean mommy for real. She decides at the beginning of the novel, Violet, I know you trained to be reading books, but you're going to go write a dragon, even though you have a disease that is very clearly Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which Rebecca Yarros also has. Self-insert queen, hello, I see you and I respect you. I too want a large man named Xaden to love me.
Not Xaden.
Xaden is the name of our male hero.
I feel like my extreme joint flexibility could come in really handy in certain situations. I'm just saying.
What's funny though is she doesn't even use that.
No, not at all.
Back to it.
Not at all. So Violet enters this military academy where she is literally, her entire thing is she's going to die because you have to be the strongest of the strong to be a dragon rider. And basically something like 40% of the people who enter the Dragon Rider Academy die.
Yeah. This book, I feel, really suffers from a problem, which is the main stake is she going to die?
Yes.
And the problem is there are 600 pages of this book.
And also 2 other books.
Also several other books. So you're like, if there are, I don't know, 1,800 pages of material to come after this, she's certainly not going to fall off this plank she has to walk. Like, there's no way.
I also, like, this book suffers, again, from this sort of world building problem that you have, which is, okay, we're supposed to buy that this is a society in which parents willingly just gamble, like, on 1 out of 4 children are going to die in this academy. You would think at some point there might be some kind of popular uprising that says, hey, can you stop feeding our children into, like, the meat grinder of this endless war, please and thank you? Especially since the Dragon Riding Academy takes children of, like, you know, noble birth. They're like, you know, the upper crust of society, and they are cut down just as easily. I just do not buy that rich people in any society are actually willing to sacrifice their own in service to the cause.
It's also kind of wild because not only is your like potential for death very high, the potential for death is mostly also while you're still in school to become able to ride the dragon. And I'm like, it feels like maybe you could just like look at some of these people and say, not you, actually, you're going to go home, instead of being like, I don't know, why don't you run up this gauntlet and see if we'll see if you die.
It's very wasteful. Yes.
Yeah. A lot of wasted lives.
So many wasted lives, to the point where I'm like, no wonder your military force is constantly needing like replenishment. It's like all these kids who could have been doing something else are all dying in the first 24 days of this Dragon Academy. So you get to this academy. You go through your first year, which includes a series of challenges. The first one is you have to run across this like really long bridge that has no railings and people fall off immediately. The second challenge is called the Gauntlet. And it is apparently, my friend Danielle told me this. I haven't fact checked it, so if it's not true, I'm so sorry. But apparently, in describing the Gauntlet, it's quite literally just an American Ninja Warriors course.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Also, though, the first test that you have to like cross, sort of rickety rope ladder, over a endless crevasse to get to school. I feel like that would so be my story. I would be like, all right, time to start my adult life. Whee! Oh!
Whee! Exactly. I also would have fallen off immediately. Also, because you're holding a huge pack on your bag as you're walking across this parapet or whatever. So this is the moment, as soon as our hero, Violet, walks across this parapet, she meets the love of her life, who we don't know is the love of her life, but obviously is Xaden Riorsis, who is her born enemy because her mother killed his father?
I think it's Xaden Reardon.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I will say, a lot of the Resistance characters have like vaguely Celtic names. They reminded me of the IRA.
I want to be clear that none of us know what this man's last name is, and Alex just offered to look it up, and I said it wasn't important. So don't be mad at us. We don't care.
And I think you're right. All we need to know is that his name is Xaden, and it's spelled Xaden, which tells you everything you need to know about him.
He's XXXADEN.
Exactly. And he hates her because her mother has killed his father. Because, I mean, speaking of an uprising, there was an uprising at one point for reasons that I don't think are ever fully explained as to why this section of the country decided to rebel. But the leaders of the rebellion were all killed, and then their children were branded by dragons, and then they have to go into the Dragon Academy to either die or become dragon riders to prove their loyalty to the country. So that's how they punish dissent in this country.
The thing that makes me feel crazy about this book in general is that every time you say something like that, I'm like, but that doesn't make sense with the rest of the book. Like, why would the dragons agree to brand people of the resistance. All we've seen of dragons in the book is that they just like light people on fire and they die. Like, when did they become able to brand? Do you know?
So having read the sequel, but I've heard the third one is terrible, and so I haven't gotten around to it yet. Perhaps one day I'll be desperate enough to actually do it. But so the Dragon Council. Listen, I am never more in my fucking element than when I can say, look, what you have to understand is that the Dragon Council
Don't say
operates
Dragon Council to
as
me.
a sovereign entity within. It's called the title of the series is like the Empyrean Chronicles, I think, and the Empyrean is the name of the dragon council, and they do operate sort of in concert, but ultimately independently. How does this bore you, Kelsey? I love that you and I are so different and are yet able to love each other.
I know.
Across this difference.
That's beautiful. When you're saying those things, it just reminds me of like people who watch MSNBC on election night, where what's his face is like, this county, which is controlled by this, and I'm just like, I don't care, man. Like, just tell me what you think is gonna happen.
But it's dragons.
I don't care for them.
Yeah, the dragons also enter kind of late in this novel. I think it's like maybe, speaking of late, what's actually late in this novel is the fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they enter late, but they enter sort of resoundingly with the twist that it turns out that you are psychically bonded to the dragon that picks you to ride them. And then those dragons also mate with each other. And so,
yeah, there's a lot of mating.
What? Like, we couldn't see this coming from across a vast parapet that you have to use to get to your fucking college. Xaden's dragon and Violet's dragons be fucking, and through that psychic bond, it's sort of like it's like an only one bed convention, but an only one dragon mating.
Yes, and they're also the most powerful dragons in the army. To be clear, yeah, I think. One of the things that I think we need to make clear is that Violet is the definition of, I think, like a Mary Sue character. In that every single one of her flaws just ends up being her strength. In that she has, again, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is like makes your ligaments weird and fucked up, which makes her unable to do most of the things that she should be able to do as a dragon rider. But nevertheless, she overcomes every single time and ends up becoming her strength because she poisons all of her opponents. She knows how to throw a dagger. She rises to the point that Xaden starts referring to her as Violence as a nickname, which is the point in this novel where I started crashing out a little bit.
Well, it was very so. I like to keep track of in action movies when they cast like a very frail woman as a sort of like assassin. You know, it's like the Gal Gadot thing.
Yes.
Who is problematic for many other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But so like one of her. It turns out, like, she can't fight, but because she's constantly in pain, she's just able to, like, take a blow in a physical fight. like her opponents can't figure out because she's just so used to being in pain that she's able to turn this to her advantage. And she was supposed to be a scribe, so she's, like, smarter than everybody. Mm-hmm. So she figures out that, like, book learning can defeat a large muscular opponent, which as a book learner, I can tell you in my experience, doesn't help.
Yeah. Also, everyone is trying to kill her, but no one succeeds, which I think is really, again, you've raised a very important point of this novel, which I think is the thing that interests me about the difference between romance and romantasy, which is romance, there's a defined narrative arc. It has a happy ending. That's the entire point. With romantasy over a series of 5 books, it's hard to draw out narrative tension if you know that the person at the beginning of the novel is going to live through everything. It's like, okay, well, how important can any of this be, really?
Well, so what she did in this first novel, which is also sort of a classic romance thing, is that she did introduce the possibility of a love triangle, right? There was the other guy who was her childhood friend, Dane, who's like the son of her mom's closest advisor or something, who she thought, that she had like carried this torch for years, and who was incredibly protective. in, that classic way of like, oh, it turns out he's just babying her. He wants to be her father and Xaden wants to be her daddy.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Say that. One thing I do really have to hand to her is that Rebecca Yarros clearly just took a list of tropes and then was like, I can put them all in there. Watch me. I will. And I have to hand it to her on that, right? Like, it's like love triangle, childhood crush, evil man, mating kink, right? Like, it's just like all of them. And that is fun in a way.
Enemies to lovers.
Enemies to lovers. Family feud.
Mean mommy.
Mean mommy.
Sibling dynamics. Yeah, I think Rebecca can get a mini points from me. I mean, I quite frankly respect anyone who can write an entire novel, let alone 3, because I have many ideas, and yet I will not write any of the transitory scenes that that get you from idea, and neither will Rebecca, because as soon as the scene ends, as soon as the scene ends, I got to the point, especially listening to the audiobook, I got to the point where I think maybe a graph before a chapter ended, I was like, next chapter's coming up. I can tell, because she's like, and this is how this action-filled scene ended. And next action-filled scene. And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. I don't know. No filler.
We're literally all just gimme to garbage about this book.
I mean, it does have, in that sense, it's a very like TikTok friendly, quick cut kind of narrative aesthetic. Yeah.
It's ripe for adaptation in a way that as soon as I started reading it, I was like, so who bought the rights to this? Mm-hmm. And the answer is Amazon.
Yeah. Can I bring us back to the fucking?
Yes,
please.
Yes.
I was just about to say, the question with the adaptation, though, is like, how dirty are they going to make it?
They're going to get kinky.
So Amazon is sexless.
I want to start with the first scene in which they are, I don't know, kissing, physically intimate at all. And the whole reason that they even get together, her and the Forbidden One, is that their dragons are fucking. And it's hard for them to block that out. And I was just like, this I like. This is crazy. You've become incredibly horny because your dragon is having sex and you can't figure out how to separate his horny from your horny. Like, okay, great. I'm locked in. Sure.
That was a beautiful device. I was talking to one of our colleagues about this and I was like, I'm not going to lie, going into this, hearing romantasy and dragons, I was like, you
assume they fuck the dragons,
yeah,
right?
I also assumed that.
At the very least, I assumed I would be reading some kind of monster smut. I was like, the logistics of a human fucking a dragon sounds very complicated. So I was like, maybe because they're mated dragons, we'll get some insight into that. And the answer is no. It's all about the human-to-human contact, which is kind of disappointing. But we've skipped a few scenes.
Please.
How Violet and Xaden get together throughout this entire trial and tribulations that she goes through. Again, enemies to lovers, very standard fare of Violet is slowly figuring out that this person who is her lifelong family enemy is actually a good guy, and actually maybe her mom is the one who's wrong, and actually maybe the government is keeping secrets from them, and actually maybe everything isn't as it seems.
Listen, who among us has not experienced a political awakening because of a hot guy?
Who among us hasn't gone to college and been like, wait
a minute, the government is lying to me.
But that hot man never would.
He's so tall.
He's so tall and beautiful. Yes, exactly. And then Violet goes through the whole gauntlet process of bonding to a dragon. And Xaden is like, I want to save her from these people who are trying to kill her. And Violet has to go up against 3 other people because she wants to save a tiny golden dragon who is a huge liability to the rest of the squad, but is so beautiful and perfect. Cute. And who is that an analogy for? Who could it possibly be? And Violet's like, I will defend this tiny golden dragon to my death, which allows her to bond with the larger, more powerful dragon who's like, I like your spunk, kid. He's like, I like your moxie.
Yeah, the idea that in this relentlessly militaristic society, actually showing honor and nobility will serve you well.
Right. It's incredibly funny that the whole book, she keeps making the same, well, she's constantly making the same points over and over again. But one of the points she's making over and over again is that honor is irrelevant here. right? Like you can do whatever you want at any time. The only thing that matters is the quote unquote codex, which is like a book of rules. But the book of rules seems to only be you can't kill each other when they're sleeping. That's it. That's the only rule that matters. All the other ones are irrelevant. You can just stab people while you're wrestling. That's fine. And then the dragons are like, no, we value honor. That's what we care about.
Well, I mean, this does feel like a good lesson in how sort of inculcating young people into a violent ideology works, right? Is that you pit them against each other, you tell them that there is such a thing as rules of engagement, and then outside of that, anything is allowable. And then you also get them to think that concepts like honor and courage and nobility like entail in what they're doing. And meanwhile, you're sending them out to slaughter innocents on your behalf.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah, the tensions between what morals the leaders of this military society are actually valuing is very not clear. Because on one level, they're like, you can kill anyone you want during training, but the moment that you're out of training, that's your best friend. And it's like, I was trying to murder him 2 days ago and you want me to protect him now?
Well, but this is where the background of being somebody who writes military romance, where it's like, oh, what you have to understand is that even when the system goes wrong, there are good people who are caught up in the system who want to make it right.
One good apple.
Like Violet, the best apple. So the dragon that Violet ends up pairing with, well, actually she pairs with two, which has never happened in the history of dragons ever. And which,
first time threesome.
Yeah.
It's really like, man.
No threesome. Threesome forbidden for no reason at all.
And then she bonds with these two dragons. One of them is mated to Xaden's dragon, which means maid dragons cannot be apart from each other for longer than 4 or 5 days. So that means that Xaden and Violet for the rest of their careers are going to be next to each other. And so this means Xaden is like, we can't fuck. It would be a mistake. And Violet is like, are you sure? Are you sure about that?
As soon as that plot point came up that was like, bonded dragons can't be apart for more than 4 or 5 days, I was like, is this a Christian book? I was like, wait a second. Is this a Christian book? And then you know what happened? I went to the acknowledgments and the first line is like, I want to thank our Heavenly Father. And I was like, I called it. Absolutely called it.
So much romance and so much romantasy is inherently Christian, oftentimes specifically Mormon.
But I saw all of that before I got to like the big sex scene. So I was like, wait, our Heavenly Father, we're thanking for this?
Well,
for this?
We're thanking for this because it's like, it's spicy, but it's spice in service to like eternal pairing, right? Like this is, it always cashes out as
Soulmates.
This kind of like fated, we will be together forever, right? And often there's like this device that comes in that assuages like a lot of our anxieties about contemporary dating, right?
Yep.
So our dragons are mated, and therefore we are somehow also meant to be together. In Court of Thorn and Roses, it's, you know, we're mates. There's something about being like a fae, as opposed to being a human man that says like, no, once I have like locked into you, that's it. I know you don't have to have any anxiety about me ghosting you or like not returning your texts or being ambivalent. Like it is, there's no sense of like ambiguity about these relationships. They are overwhelming. You like, there's no sense resisting because this is fate intervening in your life and you are going to be together forever. And so if you do have, you know, some premarital sex that can could probably like, you know, be swept up under the fact that the two of you have been like overwhelmed by some sort of higher power, right?
I think what I'm saying is like, you've got to hand it to her a little bit, where I'm like, if this is propaganda for Christianity, like I tip my hat to that, babe. Like incredible work.
I also have the moment of being like, is this Mormon? And I don't think Rebecca Yarros is specifically Mormon, though it is giving shades of Twilight. I think the thing that made it feel very similar to Twilight is the way that the female man character is the one who's really propelling this relationship of being like, the man is the one who's like, no, we must be logical and we must not fuck and it wouldn't make any sense and I don't want to hurt you. And then she's like, well, actually, as a woman who has agency, as a woman who has power over her body, as a woman who's in control of her emotions, I'm the one who's saying, I want this and I know you want me. So fuck that. And it's like, all right, yeah, sure, why not?
But then it always turns out that he's resisting because he is worried about being so overcome by emotion, right?
Yes.
It's not that he's resisting because he's ambivalent in any way. It's that he knows that he like loves you so much that were he to just get like one little sniff, it would be over for him.
I'm just realizing that that's actually the fantasy part of this
This
book.
is the fantasy part of this book. The fantasy is not the dragons. The fantasy is that you will have a man who is like so
needs you.
enamored of you that he realizes it will lead him to ruination if he got even slightly close.
To be fucking clear, textually, it will lead him to death.
Yes. Yeah. And yet, unto death, he will.
One of the things we haven't mentioned yet is that once you're attached to a dragon, you can channel their power, which means that they all have these different signet powers. And Xaden's is obviously controlling shadows because he's Xaden. And then Violet's is controlling lightning, which no one has done for 100 years. And it's like, well, yeah, fucking course. But how this comes up is that there are moments where they're fucking where she literally blows out windows because of her lightning power. Or people are like, there was a weird storm like 2 miles away from here in a forest. And it's like, oh, that was me coming 5 times.
Yes, and yet that lightning is brought down by vaginal penetration.
Yep,
that lightning is brought down by a dick in a pussy
P&V.
making you come
Yeah.
5 times, which is again like the like Mormon sort of underlay of all of these books is that the height of depravity that they can imagine is a dick in a pussy, right? that is that's as depraved, as disgusting as it gets. And I read so many of these, and I'm just like, I'm begging you, like, have somebody lick an armpit, like something.
Just one thing.
Like, please, can I just get like a foot in a mouth? Can I get something?
No, you may
Can I
not.
get
But let's see that these people are like some other form of perverse, other than like the least perverse thing that you can be a pervert about, which is
Brandy,
dick in a vagina.
He gives her oral sex.
Yeah.
Okay,
He licks her
tongue in a
pussy.
vagina.
What kind of other perversions
Are you
do
talking
want?
about? I do find it.
I want them to fuck the dragons.
Same.
I was gonna say I find it funny that this warring society that has no indoor plumbing, seemingly like the logistics of where we are in history are not explained at all because
No.
they're in a castle. No one talks about where the toilet is at or whether or not they're doing chamber pots.
They don't have electricity.
Yeah, they do have, but they have mage lights.
Mhm.
But they also have some kind of like anti-fertility drug. And I'm like, all right, y'all have gone to the point of birth control. Do you have vibrators? What's going on
Great
here?
question.
Is there a vibrating crystal? What's going on here?
Okay.
Can I just say something? Oh, I don't need to be in the mic.
Do it.
At one point, somebody says "for the win," and
Yes!
that I wanted to just like tear the book in half.
Yes!
because like that is an internet phrase.
Yes!
For the win.
No, that was Dowager Queen Alex.
Thank
who
you,
had
Alex.
to chime in at that point. But that was a moment where I texted my friend and I was just like, why is this feudal society that's been at war for 400 years using the phrase "for the win"? And she was like, that's Fourth Wing, baby. And I said, you're so right. It is Fourth Wing.
It's really hard for me to move on from that because I do not catch this. So because you know, to me,
didn't
I'm
catch it
scamming a lot.
because this is so prevalent in romantasy is that they will like pepper it with these like very contemporary idioms in a way that like I have just learned to gloss over at this point, right? The big one the one that I do notice is you'll get like a paragraph of text about, the like physical properties of a man. And then you'll get he, period, was, period, so, period, hot, period. And it's like they're typing it out like it's a Tumblr post.
Yeah.
Like they are doing the sort of like, grammatical emphasis thing. And I'm like, I just, okay, well, good luck with your cauldron that you're going to next.
I want to go back to the kinks for just 1 second. So all of these books are very clear about why they're introducing things, right? Like nothing is introduced that is not immediately clear what it will become. It's all very transparent, which, you know what? Fine. I understand this. But then they introduce the fact that her dragon is wearing a saddle. And I was like, this must be a kink. I was like, it must be coming. But no. That was the one time I thought we were going to get a little bit of something.
No, that's just because her joints are bad. And so she needs to be lashed to her dragon.
Flexy.
Listen, we've still got, this is a 5-book series, so it could become a kink at some point. The saddle could be the Chekhov's gun of fourth wing sex scenes.
To be clear, I won't be reading the next 4 books, so I'm going to need someone to tell me whether or not there's a saddle sex scene.
I feel like this is a good place to do a meta commentary of let's do some roses and thorns.
Oh, no.
Because I feel like we maybe shouldn't spoil the actual end of this book. Because there's one thing I always respect about romance that is multiple books is that the cliffhanger every single time really gets you, where I'm like, you know what? If I was really invested in this plot line, I would immediately buy this book. It worked with me with the Ferrante novels, which is a completely...
And
maybe the first time in history that somebody has brought up fourth wing and the Neapolitan quartet.
If you think about it, though, in a way, the Neapolitan novels are also a romantasy.
And they are.
About having a best friend.
Well, it's about historical romance. Yeah. But so we're not going to spoil the end because there's some major character death, which I appreciate in a romance novel.
I do like that they're willing to kill people.
I do too. And they started from the beginning. Literally from the moment they're running across the parapet, someone dies immediately. And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah, Rebecca. Let me know people will die in this novel. I appreciate that.
Wait, that does remind me that the novel has a content warning at the front of it.
Does it?
Did your copies have this?
I do not.
I don't remember.
My copy of Fourth Wing had like a block of text before the dedication that was like, FYI, people are going to die and fuck, but longer. And I was like, wow, I really could have seen that one coming, but thank you, ?
Once again, were I like a 12-year-old reader, I'd be like, thank you. I am definitely going to check this book out of the library.
It really reminds me of the conventions of fan fiction. Like that reminds me of what you put at the top of like an AO3 fan fiction story, where it's major character death, or like the really fucked up one, which is dead dove, do not eat, which is you just don't.
Yeah. Do not enter that door.
I am making a face right now, which our listeners can't see.
Well, I can't tell you exactly what it refers to. I know it references a specific fan fiction, but if you see dead dove, do not eat on a fan fiction, there's something extremely fucked up in it. Like not even in the way of like, like non-consensual sex. That is something people will tag, or like rape, etc. Dead dove do not eat usually means something that you will never forget.
That's not your business.
That's not, unless you want to make it your business.
Okay,
and then it will be your business forever.
Now you told me about this, and because of the way my brain works, I'm not a fan fiction reader, but I am going to this evening specifically search out. I'm hoping that we will continue to drink rosé for long enough that phrase will be wiped from my brain and I can save myself.
No, somebody is going to listen to this and just go to the dead dove do not eat tag on AO3 and suffer a lot.
And that person is going to be me.
I will not be held liable for anything that happens after this episode. I'm telling you, it literally says dead dove do not eat. I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, sorry. You were talking about how we're not going to ruin the ending.
Yes. Okay. And I was also saying we should do roses and thorns of this entire experience. Kelsey, I want you to go first because you texted me when you started reading this, which is I started reading the first page and I want to shoot myself.
Yeah, I also texted Brandy that because I was like,
exact text as well.
I was like, you two are complicit in my death potentially, and you should know. Okay, my rose is that I do think the first big sex scene was pretty good. I was like, okay, all right, sure. Like, good sex scene. I'll hand it to you. I like it. My thorn is everything else. In that, I think that like there were so many parts of this book that I really wanted to like and just couldn't because I kept getting like yanked out of it by the narration. And like that's maybe a me problem, genuinely. But the book is in first person. And the thing that is repeated the most is her being like, I feel scared. I feel like I can't do it. And I'm like, I don't know that that's really how people think. And so that is my thorn, I think.
Am I to understand that roses are what I like and thorns are what I did
Correct.
like?
Yes.
My rose is that I read it in a day, and I read so much romantasy that I'll get 40 or 50 or 60 or sometimes 80% of the way through and be like, nope, I've reached, like, I can't finish this. It's too bad. I'm going to feel bad about myself if I continue to read one more page about this. And so it was like engaging enough that I read it in a day. And again, I got that, brain tickling sensation that I enjoy so much. So that was my rose. My thorn is, I guess most of the rest of it.
To be clear, I will be recommending this book to people. Like, even though I'm like, it's garbage, I didn't like it, I don't think it's successful at the things I wanted it to do, I'm also like, if you want to read a book in a day on the beach, baby,
listen,
this is for you.
So I would recommend it as a reading experience. I would not recommend it as a book. And these are
fuck. Yeah, no, same.
These
Honestly,
are
same.
potentially two different categories for me.
I do think that mine follows up on that, which is that my rose is that this is the first time I've understood the appeal of audiobooks.
Oh, yeah, you have to speak on this because the audiobook, the narrator does dragon voice, right?
Wait, I want to confess that I also listened to part of the audiobook because I had to drive here to Ocean City, which is like a 3-hour drive. And so I was like, well, I have 100 pages left of this book. I'll simply put it on. And so I also experienced audiobooks for one of the first times.
Did you experience dragon voice?
Oh,
I did
I?
not experience this. And I feel like I'm missing out.
Voice
frankly.
acting.
Literally voice acting. I mean, I will say to the point of the quality of the prose. I was finding it hard as I was reading it to honestly not start zoning out in the middle of a sentence because I was like, I know where this is going. But when it's being read to you at 1.2x speed and you're playing a little phone game at the same time, optimal reading experience.
Again,
that's a reading experience
versus a book.
But also the audiobook was like, I really respect people who can do that because the narrator is going from being like, and then he like plunged his hard member into me. And then the next thing is you hear the dragon being like, control yourself.
What's also funny about the dragon voice, like, I thought this voice actor was honestly quite good.
Same.
But the thing that's the funniest about it is she didn't do voices for any of the characters.
Yeah.
It was only the dragons.
No, exactly. So you had no idea who was really talking to each other.
Unless it was a dragon.
Exactly.
You knew when a dragon was
and you
talking,
knew
though.
when a dragon was talking, but specifically only one of the dragons, specifically
Don't ask
Taryn,
me. Okay.
who is Violet's dragon, who is like the biggest, baddest dragon of them all. But he has this, like, as soon as he started speaking, I was like, oh, that's Taryn.
him.
That's him. That's him. So that's my rose, which is that I finally understood the appeal of audiobooks, which I'm like, oh, it's nice to be able to read a book while doing other things.
She's doing air quotes for read a book.
Not that audiobooks aren't reading a book, but sometimes, like, I've listened to In Cold Blood on audiobook, and that was not something where I was like, I'm playing a phone game. I maybe wash a dish, but I was like, I kind of need to pay attention to what's happening here.
I do feel like we've really missed a trick just technologically that we couldn't record Truman Capote reading In Cold Blood.
Brandy, that would have been incredible.
Right? Come on.
Because the narrator of that audiobook is kind of trying to do like a Truman Capote-esque thing.
Yeah.
Not like full sin, but very much like trying to be and that it kind of like a mid-Atlantic accent in a way where I'm like, you know what? All right, sure, whatever.
An audiobook that I have listened to before, Always at the Beach, is Nicole Kidman read The Waves, the Virginia Woolf book, and she does this like old English accent the whole time, and I was just like, that's beautiful to me. Congratulations,
I love that they put in
ma'am.
a little effort. Yeah.
I love it too. So yeah, audiobooks, A+. That's
We
my
love 'em.
rose. My thorn is that this was the first book where I think I actively was like, I can't read this. I need this to be read to me at a faster pace than my brain can actually go.
Okay. See, I am
You're built
so,
different.
I'm so happy for the two of you that like the floor of your shame is so much higher than the floor of my shame.
I want to be clear. I think I was really, really in trouble when I started this book because the book I read before this was John Steinbeck's East of Eden. And I read it for the first time and I was like saluting American literature. Like I was like, wow, we used to be a country. Like this book rules. And then I
wanna be
came
clear.
straight into Fourth Wing.
I was in a graduate program for English literature.
No, I know. I'm saying I think the direct juxtaposition of the two did not do Fourth Wing any favors.
Also, to be clear, I read fan fiction. I think what I'm not used to is like fan fiction is straight to the plot. There's no filler. There's no world building because you're already in a world that you understand. And so I think the combination of, I think we all agree, not great world building with like the actual parts that I wanted to get to. I'm like, you're going to explain things to me and I'm going to be like, that doesn't make sense. And that's going to wash over me because none of that actually matters. But I will read some terrible things, Brandy. Don't get it twisted.
Control yourself.
Exactly. This was beautiful. This was beautiful, friends.
We drank a whole bottle of wine.
We did.
We let people enjoy things. If you liked the book, good for you. We also liked it in our own special and beautiful and evil ways.
And we will be recommending it.
Do not yell at me for my opinion about Fourth Wing.
Honestly, please yell at me for my opinion on Fourth. Come at me. I've read trash that none of you people can even begin to understand. This has nothing. I am a connoisseur of trash.
All right. You can send me emails, but I won't read them because I'm too busy reading about Minotaur milking.
And the way that you know that we all read garbage is that we knew what she was talking about.
I didn't need any explanation. Kelsey, Brandy, thank you so much for joining me. This was so fun.
I love you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
For the win. Thank you so much for listening to Normal Gossip. If you have a gossip story to share with us, that email is normalgossip@defector.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 2679-GOSSIP. If you love this podcast and want to support us, become a friend or a friend of a friend at supportnormalgossip.com. You can follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at @normalgossip. Normal Gossip is hosted by me, Rachel Hampton. Our lead producer is Sierra Spragley-Ricks. Our subscriber episodes are produced by Jay Tolviera. The co-creators and Dowager Queens of Normal Gossip are Alex Sujan Laughlin and Kelsey McKinney. Defector's project editor is Justin Ellis. Jasper Wang and Sean Kuhn are Defector's business guys. Alex Sujan Laughlin is Defector's supervising producer. Tom Lay is our editor-in-chief. Thanks to the rest of the Defector staff. Defector Media is a collectively owned, subscriber-based media company, and Normal Gossip is a proud member of Radiotopia. Please remember, you did not hear this from me.
Radiotopia.